said
No,
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 no.
no. Now
You
I got that
can't
song
make me
stuck
go to
in my
rehab,
head.
mama. No way, mama.
How did she die?
I think it was an overdose.
That's not funny, but that's kind of maybe
How
she should
did
have not sung about that.
how did Amy Winehouse die? Oh, she died of alcohol poisoning
Oh
in
no.
2011. She was only
Oh,
27.
that's sad.
Oh, her brother believed that bulimia was also to blame.
Oh,
Yeah, that makes sense.
well, that sucks.
That's what she looks like.
Yeah, I thought I saw her. I saw her image in my head.
Yeah. She was a wild one. She was so she if she died at 27 in 2011, she was only 6 years older than me. That's weird. I thought she was
Yeah.
a lot older than me. Um if you guys are like, what the heck are they talking about? Well,
Oh,
guess what? We just came from a live recording for Patreon only. Oh my gosh, a
I
live
had to be a part
recording.
of the conversation.
Yeah, you have to know what we're talking about. So, if you want to know exactly why we were talking about Amy Winehouse, maybe you should join our Patreon and watch our live episodes. Because guess what? They're not these episodes, they're other stories.
They are.
So, and guess what? It's like less than a coffee. It's less than, guess what? It's probably less than a Gatorade, more than likely. And I know it's
Inflation is
less.
going up, so it's definitely less than a lot of things, guys.
It's less than a gallon of gas.
It's definitely. I thought it was $5 a month.
No, it's $3 a month. That's what it shows on Patreon. I was just on
Oh,
there.
okay. 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 Yeah. So once a month, guys, we're gonna be taking a break from. Uh, we're just gonna take a week off, but really, we're not taking a week off. We're gonna be putting an episode just for Patreon. So if you want to get the extra exclusive episode, join our Patreon. It's like Amy said, it's literally less than a cup of coffee. But honestly, I don't ever buy coffee from Starbucks, so it's really expensive. So McDonald's and their coupons. Yeah. Or
Yeah.
just my Keurig.
It's probably, guess what? Guess what? It's less than a box of Keurig cups.
It is. It is.
So, and it's
Definitely.
probably less. Guess what? It costs money to
Oh my
breathe.
god.
And so, guess what? It costs less to join our Patreon than it is to breathe. So, there's that.
That's pretty much true. That's like we're
It's
about like
solid facts.
we're a pretty factual podcast, so
Yeah,
I'm gonna
we
take out
live.
a lot of this.
Oh.
Hang on. Can we stop for just a second? They're being super loud. They're just brushing their teeth and stuff.
I can't hear them.
Okay. I could last time. I even though you couldn't last time, I could hear them whenever I was editing.
Oh, when you're editing.
Yeah. Can I go say goodnight to them real quick?
No.
I'll just be like 1 second. No, you can't
Okay.
say goodnight to your children. How dare you love your children? Ow, shit. Night, girl. Sweet dreams. Ugh. probably gonna hate myself for that, but that's okay.
For saying goodnight to your kids?
Yeah, because I have to edit it out.
Uh, wasn't that bad.
Yeah, I guess it's not that bad.
Okay. So that's that on that, you guys. So join our
That on that.
Patreon.
Join our
And
Patreon.
I apologize for not being we didn't record last week. We had some Rick's brother God, Amy. Rick's cousin passed away unexpectedly, so we jetted up to Washington to be with family and his memorial. So, have my family in your thoughts and prayers if you pray, because they're going through it. It's rough right
Yeah.
now for everybody. So, anyways, I have a question for you.
Okay.
Okay. So, if you were flying without your children, what would your routine be? Like
Oh my
in the
god.
airport?
Dude, I would feel so lost. So, okay. So let me just say, you said without my children. So
Yeah.
since Charlotte was born, the only time I've ever flown was with them. So that's been like I wouldn't know what to do with myself because I would be like looking for extra things. I guess okay, so my routine, I would get there early. Obviously, you have to get there early.
Okay.
I would go check in
Okay.
and then go sit and wait for my plane. I don't know. And then get on my plane. Wait. Okay. So you want to hear about what I do when I get on planes?
Sure.
As long as I remember, I usually bring like a antibacterial wipe or one of my Norwex cloths,
Uh
and
huh.
I wipe down around me
Yeah.
because germs, gross.
Gross. Yeah.
Try to make sure I go to the bathroom beforehand because who likes to use a plain bathroom? But you know, if you got to
Right.
go, then you got to go.
Right.
Um, I have to make sure my headphones are accessible so I'm not having to dig through my bag and my computer or my tablet.
Okay.
And that's pretty much it. And I get
That's
where I'm going.
you just gotta go where
It's
you gotta
it's
go.
it's weird. The routine that I have with the girls is incredibly long, but like that is so like to just think about doing something by myself is so weird. Anyway, what is your routine?
Well, I just have one kid, so it's not as stressful. And she's older. But so my routine I think would be the same if she wasn't there. I have traveled plenty of times without her, and truly my routine is the same as if
Yeah,
she's there or not. Um, so I get there at last possible minute that I could without being late because I don't want to be there at the airport. And
yeah,
so I get there early, but only early enough where I'm not like stressing. Does
right.
that make sense?
Yeah.
And then I check my bag. I never, ever, ever do carry ons. So I only have like my purse or my laptop bag
Mhm.
because I hate carrying luggage around the airport. And then I go and I sit and I wait for my plane and I people watch.
Oh, I
Sometimes,
love people
like,
watching. Yeah, me too.
yeah, sometimes I'll get it like a snack, a snacky snack, or it just kind of depends. But on the plane, it's just like you. I have to have my stuff like readily available because I don't want to like have to dig through.
Mhm.
Also, I always go to the bathroom.
Mhm. With the
That's about
girls,
it.
there's extra bathroom trips. It's
Oh
like
yeah,
before we check in, then we check in. After we check in, then we do that. And usually Natalie's like, "I gotta go potty," and they're like boarding, and I'm like, "God dang it!" So I run to the bathroom as quick as I can if I have a minute, and I take her to the bathroom. Then we get there, and then usually she has to go while we're on the freaking plane because the kids' bladders like goes to like infinity. What's your go-to do you always like take like the drinks and the food and snacks and stuff?
yeah.
Is there like a
So
particular like drink you usually drink that's
I
only on a plane?
always yes, I only get ginger ale. What about you?
See, I used to drink ginger ale. That's what I used to get, but for some and I don't ever drink Coke. But I get Coke every single time I go on a plane, and I don't know why, it's just so refreshing.
It
Or
is
coffee
refreshing.
if I'm dead asleep, but they don't ever give me I like my coffee, not coffee. I like creamer and sugar, so
Yeah.
they don't ever give me
Yeah.
enough stuff. But yeah, I
Um,
love Coke on a plane. And
I
the
don't really ever get
Biscoffs.
Coke. I love their Biscoffs. Um, if it's flying from Alaska where you're doing a night flight, I never get a drink or snacks because I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm asleep in. Don't wake me up. Even if I know they're coming by, like I'll pretend to be asleep so that they don't ask me.
If it's wintertime though, it is so cold on the
Oh,
plane. I remember when we came back on a flight, I think it was from like Texas. Yeah. And it was so stinking cold on the plane and they could not make it any warmer. And I'm sitting there like I was legit shaking cold. And I was
really?
trying so hard to sleep and I'm just like I'm like, "Do you have a blanket?" And they're like, "No, we don't have blankets." And I'm like,
What?
"You're freaking Alaska Air. You should
They
have
have blankets.
blankets." Yeah.
They had blankets.
I know. I was like, "I'll buy one from you. I want a blanket. I'm cold."
That's another thing is in Alaska, now it's different, but in Alaska, I would always wear an oversized, like those big scarves. I would wear one of those and I would use that as my blanket.
Oh, that's a good idea. That's
Mm.
smart. That way it's not like something extra you're actually having to carry. It's like actually
Yeah,
something you can wear.
you can wear. Yeah. And then I didn't have to like store it in my bag.
Yep.
So, anyways, I have a neighborhood story for you.
All right,
Okay.
hey.
So it's from Twitter, and it says, "Got my first HOA complaint. So instead of just dealing with it and moving on, I'm reading the entire HOA handbook and snitching on every single one of my neighbors that has stuff wrong with their house." That would be me.
That would be me. Yeah. Yeah. My sister and brother-in-law, they got fined like a whole bunch of money or something because they have a camper right now and they've
Yeah.
had it for like a couple years and they don't even stay in it. They usually rent it out and they
Yeah.
make a good amount of money like on the
Mhm.
camper. And so like whenever it comes back from the people, they have to quickly clean it out and like put new bedding in it and stuff and have it ready for the next people going to rent it. And so for like the first couple times that they were renting it out, they cleaned it out at their house and somebody reported them for having it at
Oh
their
my
driveway for
gosh.
like 3 hours. And so they got fined a whole bunch of money for it. And so my brother-in-law is like, "Well, this person's doing this wrong. This person's doing this wrong. This person should get fined for this. This one person's parked in front of their driveway, not even in their driveway, and this person's grass is this long." And I'm like, "Ooh, get them." But I don't think anything came of it.
That's so
I'd be
annoying
mad
though.
too. That's why I wouldn't want to live in an HOA.
No, thank you. What's your story this week?
All right. Well, I'm almost 100% positive that mine is in the book. Hang on. I'm going to check. I'm going to just double check real quick.
Bree said this one's gonna make me cry. So let's have a bet. If I do
Okay,
cry,
it's probably not going to make you cry because you're a freaking rock.
thank you. But here's the bet. If I do cry, every single one of you has to go sign up for our Patreon. And if I don't cry, 59% of you have to sign up for Patreon.
We do have a lot more listening lately, so, you know.
So I
By the
don't
way,
know who's going to decide who's within the percentile. You guys will have to discuss that amongst yourselves.
yeah, you guys gonna have to like form like a group on Facebook. I don't know, maybe the What's with the Neighbors group. Join it and be like, hey, so who's gonna side with Tammy and who's gonna join Patreon? Let's all figure it out now. You guys just start a poll in the Facebook group. But yeah, also on that note, we do have a lot more people listening. It looks like we've been getting a ton more downloads throughout the week. So for people who are new listening to us, welcome and enjoy the show. And sorry for our first 10, 20, 50, whatever episodes with sound quality
It
being on
was
and
like
off, but
a like maybe 10.
the stories are there. Enjoy the show. Um, Amy and I have been doing this for 2 years. If you haven't listened from the very beginning, 3 years, almost three
Yeah.
years, and yeah, we're buds. We should probably like do a recap episode
No.
for people that like are like, hey, let's just click on episode 133.
No.
I don't know. All right,
They
so
can
uh,
figure it out.
yeah, you guys
We've been
listen
here a
backwards.
while.
Be dedicated. All right, so this one is from the book, and it is Gettysburg. I've been waiting. I've been sitting on this one for a very, very long
Shut
time.
the front door. I'm so excited.
So I've sat on this one for a long time because it's such a big story, and I know so many people have done it, and I don't want to go too much into detail, but at the same time I still want to cover things.
Yeah.
So first off, I don't know if you've ever been to Gettysburg, but I went to
No.
Gettysburg
I want to
about,
go.
I think it was like 8 years ago. It was really neat. So we went there, we stayed there at a campground, and there's like the whole battlefield, which
Mhm.
is humongous. It's like 6,000 acres. It's huge.
Wow.
But also, not only that, there's a town, and that all has shit going on with it. We actually went on a haunted tour, and we went to the Farnsworth house. But this specifically said in the book, the battlefield. I'm not going to cover the town and the battlefield because there's just so much. I will do
Okay.
bits and pieces every now and then of Gettysburg. So for now, I'm just going to do just the battlefield. I
Okay.
do want to do the one that I went to though, which is I think is the Farnsworth house. So that one was pretty neat.
Okay.
So history. We all know the Battle of Gettysburg was fought between July 1st and the 3rd. That's another reason why I did it because this will come out around close to then.
Oh,
In
okay.
1863 in and around the town of Gettysburg, Pennsylvania, between the Union and Confederate forces during the American Civil War. The battle is most famous of all because it consisted the largest number of casualties throughout the entire war, making it a major turning point. Um, so this is the furthest north that the Confederates got. They just stopped going north after this fight.
Okay.
Um, there were 23,049 casualties on the Union side and 28,063 casualties on the Confederate side, giving them a grand total of 51,112 lives lost just in Gettysburg between the 1st and the 3rd.
Oh
Just in
my
Gettysburg. Like
gosh.
that I've heard those numbers before whenever we visited and went to like the memorials and stuff, but like hearing that now and thinking about like our population and stuff, like that is a lot of freaking people to die in 3 days in one location.
I bet it smells so
That is
bad.
I can't imagine because it was so hot too.
Ugh.
So, that doesn't even count the wounded people, so, like, all the trauma that
Oh
happened
yeah.
there. So the battle was obviously a Union victory, and like I said before, this was the furthest that the North or the Confederates made it north. So
Right.
that's all I'm gonna touch on the history because we all have been in American history. We've heard about the Gettysburg, we've heard about the Civil War, so that's all I'm gonna
Right.
touch on that. So I've got some facts for you, some
Okay.
frightening facts. They're not really
Frightening
very frightening.
facts.
Speaking of the smell, the temperature hit 87 degrees during the final day of the battle. That's
Okay.
pretty hot because it was humid and hot. Whenever we were there visiting, it actually got to like that temperature, and they had talked about how like this is how hot it was. Imagine being in these thick uniforms, like
Yeah.
wool and all this other stuff, and being out here fighting in the heat and everything. The smell of rotting flesh because of how hot it was. Also, another fact, frightening fact: female soldiers, interestingly enough, fought on both sides. Which,
Wow.
hashtag feminism. What? They
That's
probably
what's
died.
up. They probably did. It's all right.
The
It's
wagon
okay.
train of wounded Confederates was 17 miles long. That is
What?
mind blowing.
That's
And
insane.
around 3,000 to 5,000 horses were killed in the Battle of
No!
Gettysburg.
Not the
No,
horsies.
the horses.
Why'd you tell me that?
And that's
I
not even
didn't
the
want.
sad part.
No!
Okay, so we're going to talk about. I decided to talk about this one just because I thought it was interesting and I remember seeing this statue. So we're going to talk about Sally the dog.
I don't
So
want to hear about Sally the dog.
Sally the dog was a mascot during the war. She was a pit bull terrier. She looked exactly like Dakota. The statue looks exactly like Dakota, my dog.
Aw.
So Sally kept close to the Union side, knowing very well what side she was on. She would watch over the soldiers, licking their wounds and comrades, and keeping a faithful vigil over the
Sally.
deceased. In
Oh,
May of
Sally.
1864, at Spotsylvania the Spotsylvania courthouse, Sally had been struck on the field, taking a bullet in the neck. But
No!
Sally didn't die.
Oh,
Sally kept on going and helping out her comrades. It healed,
of course
leaving a
she did.
very, very prominent scar on her neck. All right. During the operations on the Weldon Road, the Hickford Raid, and siege of Petersburg, she traveled along or stayed with the men in the trenches at the forts or on the picket line, announcing the departure by barking and jumping at the horse of the officer in command until the line started. So she like legit like told him, "Hey, the line's moving. Come on, keep it going, keep it
Yeah.
going." On a cold night in early February of 1865, Sally could not sleep, keeping the soldiers awake by whining and crying as if predicting something that was going to happen the
No!
next day. On
Sally!
on February 5th, Sally marched along with the 11th Pennsylvania, supposedly a rough march. So the ground was covered with heavy timber, swamps, deep knee mud, and a slight crust of frozen surface, making this march so hard. Some people were losing their shoes, their guns were getting messed up, their clothing was getting stuck. When met with Confederates, two of Sally's tent mates were killed and the other two were wounded. When the firing quit, the Union hauled off their wounded and found Sally at the bottom of the pile, killed by a bullet to the brain. She was buried
No!
where she fell, no longer hearing her bark, and no longer seeing her tail wag. A
Someone put a
monument.
bullet to her
I
head.
know, what a jerk! Like you suck.
It's
I'm
a
from the South
dog.
before the Confederates, but man, now I hate them. Why would you shoot
Yeah.
a dog?
Oh, not
God.
Sally.
A monument. By the way, guys, I'm not for the Confederates. It's okay. What they wanted was wrong. So I am from the South though. So a monument can be found at Oak Ridge on the Gettysburg battlefield of Sally sleeping like at the foot of the statue, and it says the 11th Pennsylvania Infantry over, and it overlooks the whole field, and it's so that she can keep guard of the whole field. And it's so sweet. She's
Oh.
like sleeping there with like a little bone. I
Oh,
remember seeing that statue.
Sally.
I know. All right, she didn't cry. 59% of you guys. All right. All right, let's get to the typical one, the lady in white. How
Okay.
many times have we talked about the lady in white? So,
Uh,
there
a
so
lot.
many times. She pops up in so many of my stories. I'm convinced it's the same person.
It's gotta be.
It's got to be. So there's a lady in white that roams the battlefield in the historic town. Her figure is draped in a flowing white dress that appears to give off a glow in the moonlight. Witnesses describe her as appearing lost and sad. Some believe she is the ghost of a woman who lost her beloved in the war and she is searching for him, never to find his body.
I bet she was supposed to marry like somebody, and
Maybe she
he
was
got
just
called
like,
off to war. And so she's
maybe
in
she,
her wedding dress.
oh, that's sad. Maybe she's just out there like nagging them, being like, "Get inside and go eat some breakfast. What are you
Why
doing? Go
is
eat
this
some
lady
breakfast
old?
time." Oh, yeah, I totally gave her an old voice.
Yeah, you
What are you
did.
doing there, Skippy? Why you got your gun in your hand?
I
Go have
pictured
some
her
rolled oats.
as like a 20
This
year old.
this like beautiful woman.
Yes, this striking, beautiful woman in a wedding dress. And you're like, get in here. It's
They
cold
sounded different back
outside.
then. They sounded different back then.
She's 20 years old.
You should have heard the
Look at
babies. It's like a Benjamin Button thing.
So what would they sound like? I mean, technically, like back then, no one was ever actually old. Like no one got to old age. So maybe that was old.
Just middle aged.
Oh my
Oh, that's
gosh.
depressing. All right. So we're going to talk about an area on the battlefield called the Devil's Den. This area of the battlefield is a large rock formation where Confederates would work as snipers, and of course, the site was had some brutal battles. Ghost sightings began in the area shortly after the battle and have been pretty common. Uh, dim spectral soldiers have been spotted among the rocks throughout the day, and visitors have heard battle sounds echoing. Also, several photographs have reportedly captured images of a ghost soldier with unkempt long hair, shoeless, and ragged clothing, wearing a floppy brimmed hat. And when this happened, the figure supposedly spoke to the person and then just vanished. Other reports have been a ghostly cavalryman on a horseback who appears in the area only to vanish soon after. Also, the sounds of gunfire, shouting, and cries of anguish can be heard in this area.
Oh my gosh.
Oh my gosh. I know. All right. The Triangle. Just northwest of the Devil's Den is the Triangle. Hundreds of paranormal evidence has been found here. Apparitions of Confederate sharpshooters have been sighted by the rocks down near the bottom of the field. Disembodied rebel yells
No.
have echoed across the plains, and visitors report seeing impressions of bodies in the grass, crawling sometimes in certain directions.
Ew. No.
Cannons, yeah, no. Cannons screaming and moaning in pain, and sounds of drums have been reported, and Union soldiers have been spotted at the field's left entrance, and many visitors report being approached by men dressed in a Civil War outfit. Many visitors assume that they're just reenactors when they later find out they aren't. Also, photos have been taken of times and they come out blank.
Oh, that's weird.
The next place is the slaughter pen. This particular area of the battlefield was the site of one of the bloodiest parts of the battlefield. The ground at the slaughter pen was found completely covered with dead bodies, like you
Oh
could
my
not see
gosh.
the earth underneath them.
Oh.
Visitors on the site have reported apparitions and disembodied voices. On one
Uh-huh.
account, uh, a visitor told a story when they were there with a group of Civil War reenactors creating the film Gettysburg. Uh,
Uh-huh.
they were approached by a Union soldier who smelled of sulfur and was haggard and dirty. They
Ew.
assumed he was just an extra for the film until the man handed them ammunition for their guns, which they thought were blanks. And it was musket ammunition. Um,
Oh.
it was later determined that the man was not an extra or involved in the film at all, and the ammunition was actually real musket rounds and not blanks.
Oh my
Thankfully, none were
gosh.
shot.
Yeah, that would have been bad. Alex
Could have had a yeah,
Baldwin.
could have had another Alex Baldwin on our hands.
Ugh.
All right. So, that's all I got on that. As of today, the as of today, the Gettysburg battlefield is open. Around 1.5 million people visit the area, and it is
Wow.
6,000 acres a year. You can go on guided tours, and they have a variety of like paranormal tours throughout the whole thing and ghost hunts that you can
Oh,
go
that's fun.
through. It's so easy to find them too. Like whenever I was looking on my phone, like they had so many different like types of tours. Like you go to the houses, you could go to the field, you can go late at night in the middle of the night. It was really neat. So
That's pretty cool.
Gettysburg is pretty cool. It's got a lot to do there. And
I want to
unfortunately,
go.
all the Yelp reviews that I could find were like talking about the tours, and none really gave me, they said it was haunted, but they never gave me like their exact accounts on like what happened. So
Oh,
they're
that's
like, "Oh
lame.
yeah, it's definitely haunted. Oh yeah, you should go to Gettysburg. It's definitely haunted." And I'm like, "Come on now, give me some juice."
Give me some
So
juice.
no Yelp reviews. Sorry
Aw,
guys.
that's okay.
I give you my
Ah,
Yelp review, and it was pretty spooky.
I
See.
want to go.
I didn't have anything actually happen, but I do remember at the Farnsworth house. I think it was the Farnsworth house. There were like children that lived there, and their spirits are still there, and you could bring like toys, and the toys will move throughout the house. And then also we were like in the attic, and they were telling us all these stories, and the tour guide told us that this on one of their tours, this woman like was like, I don't believe in ghosts, this is just BS, this is ridiculous. And she was like talking really loud about it and being like, I don't believe this is stupid and all this other stuff. And then all of a sudden she felt like something sit on her lap,
Oh,
and then she was like, she got up and screamed, and they're like, what happened? And she's like, I just felt something sit on my lap. And they're like, oh yeah, that happens. They're like, the kids like
hmm.
to sit on the grown-ups laps.
I bet she changed her mind right then and there.
They probably farted, they probably put a ghost fart on your lap.
Oh, you don't believe in me? All right.
That'd be Natalie.
That was good. Thank you. Oh, I love those type of stories.
Yeah, it's really cool. I definitely recommend it if you ever go to
Someday.
Pennsylvania for some reason.
I want to go to all of that type of stuff.
If you and I ever do like a haunted road trip,
Yeah, you guys. We just need
haunted slash true
more
crime,
listeners.
except
Yeah.
not doing true crime, like, visiting places that have
Yeah, that
had
would be
true crime with them. I don't know
maybe.
how that would work.
Uh, uh, we
I
could
don't know if
just
I
do
want to go
that.
to John Wayne Gacy's house.
No, I don't think. I don't think I want to do that either. That doesn't sound like fun. Maybe we could hit up uh, Crimacon in
Yeah,
Vegas.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Okay. So, are you ready for my story?
You betcha.
Okay. So, I'm going to do something a little bit different this time. Okay. I'm going to have you be a part of this story. Okay.
All
So,
right.
close your eyes. Don't actually close your eyes though. So,
Oh, okay.
it is October 20th, 1995. Okay. So, you're there. I
All right.
know you technically are only 1 years old, but
Wait,
pretend
what year?
1995.
95. Oh, yeah, I was only one.
Okay, but like pretend you're older, okay? So, you just finished backpacking through Europe.
All right.
You
I'm
were
there.
supposed to take this trip with me as a celebration of your purchase of the Harry Potter franchise. But I had just become the president of All Things Plants Incorporated, so I was unable to go.
All right. All right.
So,
All right.
you went on your own. So your alarm goes off. You rub your sleepy eyes, you finish packing, and you head to the airport 2 hours early because that's you and you need to get there early.
Right.
Um, and the airport that you're going to is Buenos Aires, Buenos Aires, Buenos Aires. Um, It's in Argentina. You get in your town car that's waiting for you because you're rich now. And they drive you to the airport. While on your drive there, you see a motorcade, like with cop cars and little cop motorcycles and like black SUVs. And you're like, oh my gosh. So you're like, somebody's very important is in that vehicle. So then you just like, whatever. And you arrive at the airport. You check in and you sit at your gate. By the way, you're heading to New York to stop by and say hi to me because for some reason I live in New York now because I'm the president of All Thing Plants
Yeah, of
Incorporated.
course.
Yeah. So you stop by to say hi to me and have that much needed celebration for you and I. So you're obviously flying first class because you're the owner of the Harry Potter franchise.
Right.
That is actually not out yet, but that's okay.
Right.
Um, before you board, before boarding begins, you see a bunch of men in suits heading towards a roped off area in your gate. So you go up to the flight attendant and at the gate counter and you're like, "Excuse me, miss, who are those men?" And she says, "None of your business," just like that. But
Rude.
actually, she really actually says, "Those are diplomats." And you're like, "Oh, diplomats." Yes, the president of Portugal, Mario Soros, and Argentina's foreign minister, Guido di Tella, they're heading to New York to celebrate the 50th anniversary of the United Nations. Oh, so you're
Oh,
going to have
okay.
some
Okay.
diplomats on your plane. That's
All right.
exciting. So
Okay.
then the gate agent announces on the overhead speaker, now boarding first class. That's you, Bree. So you start to get in line, but a man shoves past you to get in line ahead of you.
Rude.
But yeah, it was kind of rude. Um, he is wearing a ridiculously expensive suit and is very intoxicated. But this man is in a hurry to go nowhere because he had once he got to the line and it was like his turn, he had to rummage through all of his things to find his boarding pass. He's also with a woman, like his coworker or somebody. So you slip by him, you board the plane and sit down. You recline all the way back because these seats recline all the way back to full bed, baby. Um, so if you're in first class, what are you doing?
I want to order a drink.
You're gonna order a drink?
Yeah, because it's
Yeah.
first class, and I'm going to take advantage of the free
It's
stuff.
free? Yeah.
Yeah.
I also probably would do that. Probably would like eyeball every single person that passes me,
Yeah, yeah,
you
yeah,
know?
for sure.
Like, peasant, you
People
know?
watch like
People
I'm
watch,
better
but
than you.
with yes, with huge enormous
Judge
amount
the
of
shit out of
judgment.
everybody.
So, you're in first class. You're sitting there. You notice that man that was in the fancy suit sit down right behind you.
Oh
You don't
gosh.
pay much attention to him, but he's a very loud man. Like, sir, we're in a small tin tube. You do not need to be so loud. He is served a glass of champagne because that's what everyone got was a glass of champagne, and
Now
he
he's gonna be
pounds
louder.
it. Yeah, he pounds that glass of champagne and asks for another one. When you are offered a glass, you decline because you're actually saving your glass of champagne for a celebration when we reunite. So you
Oh
ask
yeah,
for
yeah.
yeah. So you ask for a Dr. Pepper and bourbon.
Yes.
So everyone is boarding and the diplomats arrive and settle in their seats in first class. The first the flight attendants are doing their taxi routine, telling you to put your chairs upright, close your tray tables, you know, checking to see if everyone was buckled. Meanwhile, fancy suit guy is slamming another glass of champagne. He asks for another one, and the flight attendant's like, "No, sir, we're not serving right now. We are trying to taxi. Also, you've been cut off already." This did not go over well. He was very mad. How dare you not serve me? He paid good money to be in first class. So he unbuckles, goes up to the galley, tries to pour himself a glass of champagne from an empty bottle. Obviously was unsuccessful, but he does manage to snag 3 other prepared glasses of champagne. The flight attendants just sigh because, like, what are you gonna do, right? They're trying their best to put their best customer service face on, but like for real, they don't get paid enough to deal with this man.
Yeah.
So you're watching this man and you just think, oh man, this is going to be a long flight. The man's name, Gerald Jerry Finnerman, who is 58 years old. He's a Wall Street investment banker who was then the managing director of the Trust Company of the West, a member of the first graduating class of the U.S. Air Force Academy, where he was an athlete. He later got an MBA from University of Michigan's Ross School of Business. He had worked at Citibank and Drexel Burnham Lambert before the Trust Company of West, becoming an expert on third world debt, particularly in Latin America. And he was returning to his home in Greenwich, Connecticut with his coworker. So this man is very wealthy.
Okay.
So the
Sounds like it.
planes, yeah. So the plane also very boring. Like that, all of that sounds so
Yeah, I just like
boring.
fell asleep right when you said like his last name.
So the plane successfully takes off while Gary was pounding the glasses he had successfully snatched while he was up in the galley. So everyone is breaking out their home and garden, and the people who forgot a magazine or book are grabbing the Sky Mall. Everyone's like getting cozy, right? You take out your How to Run a Multi-Million-Dollar Franchise for Dummies book and you start
Right.
reading up. Yeah.
Right.
So you hear Jerry ask for a glass of red wine, and you're like, good Lord, you're not supposed to mix colors, right? And even though the attendants told him he was cut off, they give him a glass. So you kind of side-eye the attendant because you know what happens if you give in to a child. They keep asking for more. He slams the glass and asks for another. They bring him that one and he downs that one. He asks for another, but at this point, the flight attendants are like trying to keep themselves busy so they can't like attend to him. They're like, oh, we're talking to another passenger. Or they're like up in the galley, like trying to look busy.
Avoid him.
Yeah, to avoid him. Um, Jerry realizes this, that he's being ignored, so he gets up, shimmies over to the galley, and serves himself some more red wine. One of the flight attendants catch him and tries to stop him, but was not successful. He grabs the whole bottle and goes back to his seat and puts it in between his legs. Like,
What a
like,
douche.
yeah. So this was to prevent the flight attendants from trying to get it back. The flight attendants goes to the supervisor and they're like, hey, we need to cut this guy off. Can you help us? So one of the male flight attendants was sent over to give him a talking to. He says in the most flight attendant voice ever, sir, we're going to need to take a little break from drinking now. This does not go over well. They send Jerry it sends him into a full spiral. He hulks out. He chases the poor flight attendant into the galley, demands his name and his employee ID. The flight attendant steps in and was successful calming Jerry down. This flight supervisor, steps in and was successful calming him down. He was like, it's okay. We're just going to calm down, just chill out. And
Yep.
so he does. He goes back to his seat and the cabin goes quiet. You, Brie, are able to finally get some peace and quiet. You
Oh,
turn
thank
on your
God.
Walkman and put on your overhead ear,
That's right. It's
those,
1995.
yeah, you put
The
on
wired headphones.
the wired headphones that are the metal
Yeah.
piece with the foam
The ones that
over the
you
ears.
accidentally put something over them. It's really uncomfortable.
Yeah. So you put those on, you pop in your NSYNC and Foo
Ugh,
Fighters mixtape I made for you before you left.
yes, I'm
Yeah.
jamming.
Yeah. So Gary waits like a solid 10 minutes and he gets up and demands a drink from the flight attendant. And she was like,
I lo-
listen,
I love that you know that I'm more in sync and not Backstreet Boys.
it's because I love you.
It's the best.
Okay. So uh, he demands a drink from the flight attendant after like 10 minutes. And she was like, listen, you're cut off. Go back to your seat. He takes his hands and shoves her into a seat in first class. He heads to the galley where the drink cart is. He then climbs onto the cart where, they're preparing the snacks to serve and the drinks to serve everyone because they were preparing for that. He stands on the cart, pulls down his pants, and takes a dump on the cart. He
No.
full on poos on the cart.
What a dick.
In front of the president of Portugal. So people are losing it. While still on the cart, he reaches down and grabs a white cloth napkin and wipes his bum with it. He tosses it and grabs another and another until he's relatively clean. He then steps in his own poo while getting off the cart, and then he makes his way
Ew.
to the he then steps in his own poo, getting off the cart, and then he makes his way to the bathroom. And for some reason, he takes his poo and wipes it on the walls on his way to the bathroom. Like he just like scooped up some poo with his hand and like is like wiping it on the chairs and on the
Ew.
walls to the bathroom.
Poor passengers. Poor me. I can't sit in front
You
of this asshole. He's gonna smell like poop.
And so he goes to the bathroom and he's blowing mud in the bathroom too, right? Like he's just blowing it up in there. So he eventually comes out of the bathroom and goes into the other bathroom, like across the way.
No,
Um
don't ruin both.
so Gary decides to serve everyone with his leftovers. Oh, because Gary decided to serve himself. I wrote this so nicely. Because Gary decided to serve everyone with his leftovers, food service was canceled.
Oh man.
So the
Oh.
pilots were like, "Bro, this is a hazmat situation. We have to land this plane." And the closest airport was in Puerto Rico. They were over the Caribbean at this point.
Oh, it's
So
gonna be so much longer till I get to see you.
I know. So
Asshole.
So they radio air control at the airport, and Puerto Rico was like, nah dog, that's nasty. No thank you. Do not come
they,
here.
they didn't let them land. Oh no.
But it wasn't because of Gary, it was because there was diplomats on board, and it would have been a safety hazard or a safety situation to have an unexpected flight land that they're
Right.
on. So the poop plane flies on.
The poop plane.
So Gary, the woman he was with, that he worked with, she manages to coax him out of that second bathroom, and Gary was just covered in his own feces, like. Bleh. She takes him back to their seat, and they snuggle and go to bed or take a
Eh.
nap.
Oh my god, it smells so bad.
so So she's just like nuzzled up to the man covered in poo. Like, there has to be more than just a friend work relationship going on if she
Yeah.
was willing to
Yeah.
snuggle with a man with poo all over him.
They do things in the bedroom that are past 50 Shades of Gray. They're 50 Shades of Brown.
So the flight attendants cover them up with a blanket, trying to mask the smell, but that did not help.
No. The
It,
bathrooms are still there.
it's on the walls. It's
And
on
the
the
food cart.
gallery.
Oh my
So
god.
they also walked through. So the flight attendants, they walked through the cabin and sprayed Lagerfeld cologne um to try to mask the smell, but that didn't help.
Nope.
And you know how like smell can trigger memories?
Yeah.
You think that the passengers later in life would like smell that cologne and just like instantly like just get
Done.
sick to their
They're just
stomachs?
never again.
So everyone is hungry, but no one has an appetite because how can you with the smell of rotten airport Taco Bell porta potty lingering in your nose? So, so 4 hours later, the poop ship flight 976 lands in New York, and the feds are waiting for Gary Scott to arrive. The FBI arrested Gerald for interfering with the flight crew and assaulting a flight attendant. So you, Bree, get off the plane and actually had to attend multiple hours of therapy to heal from what you experienced. And when you started
Yeah.
dating Josh, he was actually wearing the same clone that they sprayed all over the airplane. So you had to let him know he triggered your gag reflex. And so since then, he has only worn John Deere exhaust fume clone the rest of his life. so so anyway, Gary, he posted $100,000 bond. He must attend alcohol counseling and is not allowed to travel anywhere without the court's approval. Gerald's attorney claimed Gerald's alcohol consumption had nothing to do with his behavior on the flight. I am
Okay.
Sir, he claimed that Jerry had a really bad case of traveler's diarrhea, and the security team of the diplomats refused to let Gary use the bathroom. And instead of using the coach bathrooms like the lesser than human, he only had one option, which was to pop a squat on the beverage cart, which is a terrible, terrible
Yep. You
defense.
should have just pooped your pants.
Instead
Just
of
pooped your
going to
pants.
coach, just poop your
Yep.
pants. So the judge was like, okay, okay. He was sentenced to 300 hours of community service, 2 years of probation, and a $5,000 fine. He also had to pay $50,000 to the airline for like the cleanup and equipment replacement, like new chairs like that couldn't be cleaned, and some of the passengers were asking him to be tested for hepatitis to make sure that they weren't exposed to that. And in very 90s fashion, some were also calling him to get tested for AIDS,
Yep.
which is so dumb. So they wanted to make sure that they didn't have get any of his poop aids on them.
Right. Right.
Yeah. And the rest of the money that he was required to pay was for reimbursement for the rest of the passengers because everyone got a refund. Um, the rest of his life, he lays low. He volunteers for a nonprofit organization and doesn't make much noise. And in 2005, he passed away due to Alzheimer's disease. And that is the story of good old Gerald Finnerman,
I
the poop
wonder if
man.
I wonder if he started getting like Alzheimer's early because that is just wild. I
So
mean, he
there
was
was,
drunk as a skunk too.
yeah, there was some speculation that uh he could have gotten it or like early onset that wasn't being treated. But there was a doctor, an Alzheimer's doctor, that said he has never heard that type of behavior for somebody that got it so early.
Dang.
Yeah.
Yeah, probably not that.
Yeah.
I want to see his picture.
Okay, so to spell his name, where is it? my gosh. Gerald, Gerald. Middle name is Jerry, Jerry. Finnerman, Finneran.
Oh my gosh. This guy looks like a rich white guy.
That's just so embarrassing.
Oh my gosh. I would be so incredibly embarrassed. Oh my gosh.
I know.
This article says don't drink and fly. Dear God. Wait, was he tied down?
What do you
Oh no,
mean?
that's another passenger. That must be a common thing
Ooh.
for people to drink, obviously drink too much and fly. That was crazy. I loved that I was a part of that. Thank you for that. I felt
You're
like I was
welcome.
there. Although I didn't want to be. Please don't do that ever again. Dear God, the smell. I couldn't even drink my Dr. Pepper and bourbon.
you you couldn't.
That was
You were just
that
like
was the
this is
worst.
this is too
I'm glad I got my
much.
money back though.
Yeah.
Glad I
Yeah.
got my money back. That was and seeing you like right away, I was like, "Hey, I got to tell you everything.
You're like you wouldn't. Hey,
I
buddy, how
have
was your
got
flight?
some tea for you."
You will
Well,
not
wait.
believe
We're in the 70 or we're in the 90s. Let me give you the 411.
the 411. What's your neighborhood story?
I just had it pulled. Okay, right here. All right. This one you can relate to. Hello.
Okay.
It's a note to another neighbor. Your
Okay.
plant fell off the ledge overnight. Unfortunately, the pot did not survive the fall.
Oh
The plant
no.
itself was in somewhat of a catastrophic. Okay. Hello. Your plant fell off the ledge overnight. Unfortunately, the pot did not survive the fall. The plant itself was in somewhat of a catastrophic state, but we
Oh my.
managed to assure it that everything would be okay. Apartment 102.
No, those pots are so expensive.
I would save your plant for you.
Thank
I
you.
might
I
kill it,
appreciate
but
it.
I would try.
I appreciate the gesture.
It's the effort.
It is the effort. Yeah. We were at Winco yesterday and I saw a really cool shape. Like it was a plant I've never seen before. And it was like the leaves were like, ooh, wavy.
Ooh.
I know. And I was like, ooh, I want this. And Alice was like, Mom, stop it. You don't need any more plants.
You're a plant mom now.
I know. And I was like, I mean, that's fair. She said, You listened to me last time because last time her and I went to Winco, the same thing happened. I was like, Alice, you can't tell me what to do. It's my money. And she was like, Yeah, Mom, you have too many plants. Where are you going to put that one? And I was like, That's a good point. And then I was like thinking about it. I was in my cart and I was like, you know what? I bet this plant doesn't look that cool once it's like fully developed. So I put it back.
Good for you, buddy. Proud of
Thank
you.
you.
They're really
Thanks.
good for you to have in your home though, because they like put off like oxygen and like so many different chemicals or something. I don't know.
Yeah,
I
and
know that they put off oxygen and stuff, and
yeah, they
good for you.
purify your air too.
Yes, that. Yeah.
Mm,
Yep. So your room is probably super clean. You know what
maybe.
kind of plant I want next?
What?
The
Wait,
mandrake.
did you ever get your aloe vera plant?
I haven't gotten it yet. My dad has it. She's so big. Every time we go over to my dad's, my car is like jam packed full of stuff, so I don't have room to
Yeah.
bring her. I meant to have him bring her last time he came, but he didn't. But she's doing so good. She has so many babies. I should send you one.
You should
I
send me
can't send you one.
one. Why?
I don't know if it would. I don't. Aloe vera. She'd probably make it.
You just
I don't know if she'd make the trip.
I'm gonna find a way.
Okay. All right. I'll send you a baby from Margie if you can find a way. But no, I want to get the mandrake plant from from the Harry Potter Lego set. It's the newest Harry Potter Lego. It's a
Okay.
mandrake. You know
Hold on.
the
I'm going to
mandrake?
stop this real quick.
Yep. Oh yeah.
I So thank you for listening, everybody. Have you checked on the neighbors lately?
What's with the neighbors?
Bringing Amy
Bringing Amy
out.
out.
Psh. Say hey to your cats for us.
Meow. Don't get dead.
Okay.